Hey, I had it set for 11. Figured I'd go live a bit earlier because I had some free time, and I'm gonna kind of give some personal updates really fast. Nothing negative towards TrueDFS or any DFS work. Just most likely next week I will not be able to do live shows for Daytona. Personally, I'm very sad about that because those are my favorite races and stuff, and obviously. The kind of week is my what is going on with the stream here? Okay, cool. Everything's working. Um, but yeah, I'm just not going to be able to go live next week. We ended up. I don't talk about my personal life quite a lot, and certainly not my relationships or anything. But very quickly, just to give an update, I've had my best friend in life. And didn't know anything about their family before we met. Like obviously everything, uh, you know, was seen naturally, right? I met them, hang out, fell in love, and all that stuff. And it just so happens that like their family has like generational wealth, right? Um, so if you were with me last week during the Xfinity stream, I believe I had to take a phone call and stuff. We ended up checking out houses. Looked at one on Tuesday. Their family made an offer Wednesday, and it's ours yesterday. So um, next week, between inspections and stuff, I'm probably going to be busy and dealing with that uh, next week. My lease in this apartment is up in January, so you probably won't see anything moved in the background unless I just decide to break the lease early or whatever. But everything else in the apartment, I'll be moving over towards the house. Pretty much as soon as possible and stuff like that. So anyway, regarding Daytona, that's why I'm probably not going to be able to go live for any of the shows next week. If you have any questions related to that, I have hours and hours upon hours of breakdowns of how I approach Daytona. I mean, it's stacked from the back, right? We just have to see if they don't wreck, uh, or if your guys wreck out, whatever. Yeah, if you have them from the back of the field. But like, I'm disappointed. I'm probably not gonna be able to go live because I love talking Daytona and stuff. Secondly, with that, um, personally for me, as stated before and as stated per usual, I usually invest, very heavily, if not the most amount of my single season between any sport on the summer Daytona race. So yeah, if you want my opinions or anything like that, you can talk to me in Discord. Thirdly, on that, regarding the slate today, and with all that information out there, and with Daytona next weekend, we have a lot of things up in the air for this specific race. So obviously, the tire sets and the tire wear is going to be huge. There's obviously rumblings about not having enough set, which you have enough sets, you're just not going to drive them, hard enough. If you blow tires, whatever, right? But because of that, and because of the drastic difference in practice speed and the grid that we have, I would heavily, heavily, heavily encourage you to just move money towards Daytona. I am playing very little today. There is no real way to project this race, especially if, which is probably going to happen because Richmond typically goes green. Okay, throughout these Richmond races, we typically have long green flag runs. If we look at just the races at, if I can bring up good old Richmond, Virginia. Also, this is Larson stuff. Just foremost, I'm not gonna be playing Larson today. Um, Anytime he doesn't start in the front, he's very unlikely to get laps led in these short track races and stuff. I'm personally not playing Larson here. But when we look back at the last several Richmond races and stuff, we'll go back and look at the last five, and we look at the amount of laps that these green flag runs are um, having. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 yellows in last year's fall race. The spring race, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellows, and this yellow came obviously late and stuff. And even this one last year came late to where you know these guys wreck with like practically the last lap, and then we have Austin Dillon, all those guys do all their stuff. We look at the 2023 fall race. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We look at the spring race of 2023. Now this one did have, you know, you can argue quite a lot of yellows, but even still, exiting stage two, we still have 266 and or two long runs deep into the 60s and stuff. And so let's go ahead and look at the fall race 2022, which will be the last one we look at here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 yellows. So low chance of complete wreck fests in these races. Now, that's not saying they can't wreck late, but what does that say related to tire wear? Okay. If we're looking at now, typically Richmond, you typically split the stages regardless of what stage it is. We typically see them split these stages, right? So we're going to most likely burn 4 of the 9, which we have 8 sets of tires, nine on the car when you start. We're probably going to burn 4 of those sets early, or at least in the first 2 to 3 stages, or not 2 to 3. In between stage 1 and stage 2, we should be burning anywhere from like 4 to 5 to 6 sets, and entering stage 3 with 3 sets. Now, that's if everything goes, the way we typically go. If there is increase in tire wear, we could potentially see NASCAR, especially if they don't blow the tire and fly into the wall, right? If they don't blow a right front and then like knock the wall down, I would be very shocked to see NASCAR throw yellows, very similar to Hemrick yesterday, which was kind of wild, right? But that would not shock me if we see situations to where this looks somewhere like the Bristol, and I don't know if it's going to be that extreme, but if it's close to the Bristol 2024 spring race with that type of tire wear and stuff, um, projections and stuff go out the window because there's um, no clue on how to, project something if things, run into that, right? So everything can be up in the air. So I'm just going to move forward with the guys that I like and how I think this race is going to play out. But I think this is a race where you probably don't want to be playing a lot of just the amount of variance in this. I don't really want to care about the practice speeds. This is a completely different time compared to where the race is going to go. Obviously, thank you, AD, for the data and stuff. But the fact that everybody went long, everybody was able to see, that hey, man, Tyra is probably going to be really freaking huge today, right? I'm inclined to take, or at least to be more aggressive on people that hopefully won't be trapped a lap down. Okay, I already see people talking about Priest and Hamlin, though I love those two plays, right? Based on what Joe Gibbs is able to do at Richmond, specifically in races that go green. Okay, Joe Gibbs is normally, it's usually Joe Gibbs followed by the 24 Team of 5 and the Hendrick gang leading the uh, pitting early in runs, especially if they're going to split stages and stuff. You typically see the 20, the 11, the 54, then usually Rudy Fugle and the 24 crew is usually right behind them. But I'm a big fan of Joe Gibbs today, specifically with Hamlin and Bell. I would envision that those two, and most likely Hamlin. I mean, Hamlin should be the favorite based on his track history. Hamlin should be the favorite based on the amount of laps led that he typically gets at Richmond. Not only just other short tracks and stuff, but specifically Richmond. Um, Hamlin starting fourth at 11,000. When we look back at these races and you see the amount of times that Hamlin is leading in these races, Hamlin, and it used to be Hamlin and Truex, right? Like you see Hamlin and Truex leading in like every single one of these races, right? Now, since Truex isn't there, and we're comparing, let's move this guy over here, and you're, I mean, where's Briscoe at? Briscoe's starting 19th. I think honestly, your two favorites to lead laps in this race at any given point are Hamlin and Bell. Um, I like them. I like Ryan Preece starting first at 7,600. When we look at where RFK has been, specifically Ryan Preece this year, okay, top 12 car in speed. Okay, we look at him compared directly with Reddick. Now, I'm not saying Reddick can't lead. Obviously, anything can happen here, but I'm not playing AJ Allmendinger, right? I really don't have a lot of interest in Reddick. If I believe that a lot of laps are going to be coming from Hamlin and Bell in this race, and specifically Hamlin. Like, when does Hamlin get the lead? Most likely in stage two or through pitting under. or undercutting people on the pit lane stuff. Um, I don't really care what I get right or wrong about Priest versus Reddick. I like Priest because he's $7,600, and he's starting first. I'll just take that early um, potential. If he leads 11 laps and never leads again, so be it, right? There's also a lot of rumblings and a lot of things saying or leaning towards people who were very fast in practice yesterday and who qualified well uh, with they have a high potential of actually performing very, very badly today. Okay, so where do we go if we're chasing, potentially Priest, potentially Hamlin, Elliott, Bell, Bowman, and stuff like that? Where else is the field going? When I'm looking at my stuff here, yet again, this is just based on projections and stuff. So obviously, we're gonna see, like Reddick be thrown in there in 25% because I'm for 41 stuff, but personally for me, if I'm sorting by highest projection, as I said, I'm not playing A. Allmendinger. He's showing up a lot of my stuff at 36 points at $6,000. I'm probably not going to play him, but a lot of this is indicating that there's a real potential. Like I actually like, I like McDowell. I think there's a lot of upside in playing guys who are starting in the top half of the field because there's a real chance that since this race goes green, more times than not, we see very little spins and wrecks. Now, yet again, if people blow tires or whatever, it goes out the window. But there's a real potential that Logano, Chastain, Larson, Kyle Busch, a lot of these more expensive guys in the back of the field will and can potentially get lapped. When we look at yet again, we've had some of these races end under with late race, shenanigans and stuff, right? But even then, you look at the amount of people left on the lead lap. Last year was 19 when um, when Dylan, Osama bin Laden, the two towers in front of him. The year before, we have uh, 22 people left at the lead lap, which again we had another wreck towards the end of the race in the spring. The fall race in 2023, we end up having 19 people left on the lead lap. Yet again, that's another most likely situation where there's a lot of people getting waiver rounds towards the end of these races and stuff. We look back at 2023, the spring race, and we see 23 people left on the lead lap with yet again another late yellow here to where there's most likely people getting waiver rounds. And so I would expect to see, the amount of people left on lead lap in this race anywhere from 23 to probably 16, especially if we get tire wear, if we get situations where people blow tires and NASCAR doesn't throw yellows, whatever the case may be. Like we could probably have a lot of people lap down in this race in some form or fashion. So that's really, really bad for Logano. That's really, really bad for a lot of the expensive guys back here, right? Because not only are they competing against dominators who have 400 laps to lead and get fast laps and stuff, but you're also, paying a pretty premium price tag for these guys with the potential of them getting lapped and stuff. And so, even though on a mean projection, even in my stuff, like Logano is, I got him for 48 points and stuff. And that's pretty in line with what, Sabresman has him 40, 49, Sheets has him 49, I have him 48. Um, I'm really, really, really concerned about paying up for guys back here. If anything, I want my value plays potentially being the guys who are in the back of the field, like a Corey Heim, a Riley Herbst at 4,900, even a Cody Ware, especially if we're trying to nail the lap leaders. That's typically when you want to punt towards men's salary and stuff. And the fact that we have 38 cars in this field, two more than normal, just helps us out there, especially with Cody Ware starting pretty much dead last. But I like McDowell. I mean, I don't know if you can realistically get him in. I mean, he's competing directly against Bell, but I actually really like having Hamlin and Byron together. Past that, I'm just going to be kind of going with whatever is being shown from a from competing or completing lineups. Like when I look at the highest projected scores, right, we have Hamlin, Logano, Reddick, Priest, Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, and stuff. I also really like Ty Gibbs as well. Ty Gibbs at $7,000. It's Hamlin, Priest, and Ty Gibbs is probably my favorite plays today, which indicated by typically maybe say you don't have the money to join us, and on those rare instances where I am showing kind of what my stuff is, usually, um, not yet again, AJ Allmendinger's up here a lot, but usually when I sort by highest projection stuff, the guys that are usually in the mid tier, both in terms of salary and starting, if they're high up, that's usually an indication that I'm probably gonna be very heavy on them. I like Priest, Ty Gibbs, and Hamlin today, right? But I'm probably going to not be playing a lot of these lineups that like this one, for example, my second highest lineup of all my stuff, which let me make sure you can see it. It's Hamlin, Larson, Bowman, Priest, Ty Gibbs, and AJ Allmendinger, right? I don't like AJ, and I don't really want to pay up for Larson. I'd much rather, try and get more lap leaders and certainly guys in the top half of the field and stuff. So yeah, I really, really, really don't have a feel past that on where I'm going to go. I haven't made my lineups yet, but I like Priest, I like Hamlin, I like Byron, I like Bell, I like Gibbs. Really past that, like I'm just going to kind of be going with whatever's being given to me. I think this race has, and like even yesterday, right? Like when you looked at what, I don't know why Majeski threw a set away early. And I don't know why Corey Heim and that team didn't stay out when they were at a significant tire advantage after Kraft and, wrecked Ty Majeski. Heim had just taken tires. I don't know why the field pitted there. Like, why would you not stay out? I don't get it. But we're bound to have some shenanigans with these strategies and with what these guys are doing with all their with the tire situation and stuff. And so, like I said, at least for me, I like plate racing. I like the super speedways. I find those much safer in investment points of the year. I would just be moving money from Richmond to next week. That's pretty much where I'm at. Let me go see what you guys are saying really fast and stuff. But I mean that's kind of where I'm at. So Austin, and I know you were mentioning this early, but Austin was mentioning a lot of Hamlin and Bell. Same thing with Priest. That's where I'm going. Is Hamlin a lock? I don't think anybody's a lock in this race. He just happens to be the favorite starting fourth. We look at where Hamlin has started in these races, and you look at the amount of laps led that he gets in these races. This is why Hamlin is such a big favorite today and stuff. I mean, you look at where he's finishing. I mean, he's not always getting laps led, but I mean, Hamlin is, as I say that, we found one that he hasn't, finished well, even though he did lead 71 laps here. But like Hamlin, really outside of this race, is at a top 5 finish in 4 of the last 5 races. He's scraping off fast laps and laps led. It's just depending on what else is going on. Now, yet again, we're losing Larson. We're losing some other people who are usually up here in these races, potentially leading. So that's why Hamlin's the favorite and most likely the highest projected guy for both DraftKings points and probably ownership in most situations. What about the 22? I mean, Lagan. I mean, you saw what I have him at. I'm right where Sheets and Sabersim are at. Hamlin, I'm much more inclined to play Hamlin over Chastain, over Larson, over Ryan Blaney, but just because he's 9,700. And if I'm playing, or if you're running with, I'm gonna get this over here really fast. If you're running with a preset $7,600, you have a Hamlin stuff. It's much easier for Lagan to fit into lineups than other people, and especially in a situation to where if other guys in the 10K range are having rough days, say if Bell can't get the lead or if Blaney can't get the lead, if Byron for whatever reason can't get it, Logano should be the second highest scorer from the 9K range up in this race. And so I'm much more open to playing Logano versus anybody else priced up around him, but he's starting last, and there's certainly a concern of him going a lap down. Yet again, I haven't made my lineups yet, so I don't know what I'm going to do yet. asking about Herbst. He's 40. He's 49. Uh, I like Herbst. I like Cody Ware today, especially for trying to pay up for people, specifically, Hamlin with a Bell or whatever you want to do. You're gonna need value, and Cody Ware starting last literally can't lose you anything at all, right? As soon as the race goes green, he's gonna be in 38th. He just has to ride around, and as long as he doesn't wreck out, he'll probably be 2 to 3 laps down at the end of this race. But if anything happens, you know he should be looking to finish right around like 31st, 30th if things potentially get stupid, or if people have tire issues that force him to go 2 to 3 laps down, he should, easily not finish where he's starting. Um, Herbst has the potential of staying on the lead lap a lot longer, clearly. So I like both using Riley Herbst and Cody Ware to fill out lineups, especially if you like your lineups that you're working with. Now, Larson hasn't been good lately due to no fault of his own. Like Watkins Glen, literally, I mean, I had 100% of Larson at Watkins Glen, no breaks. Like, is that on him? Like Larson, and I'm not trying to start a debate. I don't really care about where he's at in things. Larson is the best talent in NASCAR. You better believe if it was not Richmond, I would be playing a ton of him at a discount ownership. A lot of people are like super tilted, like at Larson. Like, oh, he hasn't performed well. It's Kyle Larson. Like, let me see what I can actually go. Let's go here. Let me see what his projected ownership is. If I'm gonna look at sheets of stuff, if he has a projected ownership of less than 32, I would be inclined to play him. If it's anything near that, I probably wouldn't. So let's go ahead and check and see ownership really fast. Larson's projected to be 37% owned, so he's probably going to fall in line anywhere between like 33 and 38. Still too high for me to take an advantage. But if, we've done it already, in different situations this year, if the public is not on Larson, you need to just slam the shit out of Larson, right? Same thing with Byron. I mean, today is a day where William Byron is going to be owned 13%. Yet again, I mean, let's go ahead and just look at where William Byron is on these short tracks and stuff, and you look at where Byron is performing and stuff. Now it's been, obviously he led laps at Iowa, and his last two leading lap situations have been at Martinsville, but I like Rudy Fugle as a crew chief. The fact that nobody's going to own Byron today in a situation to where there's really people don't really have an idea of where things are going to go. Like that makes William Byron for me personally be very, very, very enticing. Because those are typically when I want to play people like William Byron and stuff. Especially when Bell, is looking to be at 25% owned and stuff, and we get Byron at a discount on that at a cheaper price tag, starting a few positions back. It doesn't really matter how far they're starting when it's a situation like this, because one of them is either going to lead and blow the other one out of the water. And the outcome that, Byron versus Bell to lead more laps or get more fast laps like that, that's pretty much 50-50 because both of them have to pass people. Both of them are most likely gaining the lead through green flag pit strategy and stuff. I think Byron is a really, really fantastic tournament play today due to that. Let's see what else we got going on. We're expecting a long, yeah, and Blaney has had a same thing with Blaney. I mean, we look back at where Blaney's been, really this year, and he's been like the most consistent guy, very similar to Austin Hill, where you can just project him for finishing it in between like 4th and 6th, regardless of what lap, regardless of what track it is. Like I said, I just think between Blaney, Byron, and Bell. I like Bell from a straight up projection play. I like Byron from a DFS tournament play. I would rather. So this is how I build lineups specifically in a race like this. Would I rather have 2 to 3 potential lap leaders and people can get fast laps? I want to try and have 4. Like you need to do your best to have 4 guys who can get you fast laps and laps led. That's really why, if I'm inclined, Logano seems to be the best place differential play, but I would just rather take, somebody else who could get laps led versus them, especially if you're building with the race where you're including Paris in that. Let's just go through. Let's go through like a dummy build really fast, like to give you an example of how I would be building and stuff. Let's look at Hamlin, Paris, and Byron, just because we've been talking about Byron here. So you have Denny Hamlin, Paris, Byron. 7,000 left for your remaining 3 guys. Where else could you potentially go? Who else could potentially lead laps in this race? What are situations that you could realistically, pinpoint somebody who could, lead laps? Let's just for the sake of this, I'm not going to tell you what value play I'm using, but if you've been here, you understand what range I'm in, right? So we could realistically get somebody like an Alex Bowman, somebody like a uh, Chris Buescher in this lineup. We could very easily get um, like I I just don't see why you wouldn't do all you can to have 3 to 4 guys who you could see really realistically lead laps um, in this race, whether it be you know even situations like that, like Bubba Wallace, Bowman, McDowell, Chris Buescher. I mean, in situations where tire wear is going to be huge and it can very easily change wherever you know the running grid and strategy. I mean, that's when you probably want to be getting to more people that you probably usually wouldn't, like McDowell. And what I mean by that is more guys in the top half of the field than normal. So like Busher, Michael McDowell, Bowman, Brad Keselowski, Wallace. Like I think you can get like 4 guys in your lineup that can lead laps, or that could just scrape off fast laps and stuff. And if you have Hamlin and Priest, you already have 2, right? If you could just tag on 2 other guys, you could realistically see, potentially lead laps and stuff through strategy, through staying out long. Staying out long is another one as well. Typically, we see people like Suarez run just long. We see the Trackhouse guys run long. Like that's another avenue towards that in a race that's 400 laps. Who's the guy who stays out the longest? Who's somebody who stays out hoping for a yellow? Well, you throw in, McDowell, you throw in Suarez, you throw in Barry, you throw in people like that run long. I mean, this is a race to where by the end of the slate, the winning lineup is going to have probably 4 guys that led laps in this race. Now, whether that be 1 to 2 laps, I mean, they still led laps. Um, that's how I want to go about it today. Let's see what else. What's going on, AD? Let's see what else. What else? Hope you're doing well, and whatever the hell you're you're putting your money towards right now today. Is it tennis? Is it water polo? Let's see. Brad's getting ready to hatch a baby, right? He's got to crack open an egg. His wife's expected on Tuesday, but that's why he has a cute mark by his name. Was there a different practice? Yes, the 2 groups are different. Yes, practice during the day. This is a night race. Don't worry about that. Yeah, like Brad was good at Iowa. Like as stated, this is. Wish I could highlight stuff. Uh, but yeah, like anytime I build, right? Like, oops, what the hell? I just can't copy from fucking YouTube. What's going on here? Nope. This is the question of that. What is going on here, dog? It's just not. Whatever. We'll go to this one. This not just for Richmond. This question should always be, how can I build for 3 potential lap leaders? Like this is how you approach every race, right? Now, if it doesn't happen that way, then it doesn't happen that way. But even in like Xfinity truck. I'm usually trying to build for this because what is this doing? Even if you miss, you're typically getting 3 top 8 finishers in a race. If you're trying to get more than this, you're usually landing on people, especially for FanDuel. Maybe it's not, potential lap leaders and stuff, but just because finishing position is way more important on FanDuel. This question usually can get you at least 5 drivers who can finish in the top 18 at the end of a race. And typically that's what you're doing to compete in races and stuff, or at the top of a GPP. This is what you should always be asking yourself. How can I build for 3 potential, race leaders, and people who can get fast laps and stuff. So yeah, I like Keselowski. I like McDowell to fill this out. I like Busher to fill this out. Like I want to be very heavy on the top half of the field, and I think you can do it without using them, but I think Riley Herbst and Cody Ware can help you fulfill this quite easily today. I do believe that is it. I don't think I have anything else. I think that's mainly it. Yet again, focus on Daytona next week. That's the main thing. That's all I gotta say. I will. I'll talk to you guys later. If you are interested in using SaberSim for any of the other sports, if you notice, hey, what am I using SaberSim for today? I'm using it for League of Legends. Okay, I'm using it for the UFC, which I'm still working on UFC for what I'm going to do. But hey, like I use SaberSim for everything. If you want, yet again, NFL's right around the corner. If you want to basically have 3 sites in one, our projections, paid earns projections, and then your inclusion of SaberSim, I'd highly encourage you to join through our website. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.